Do you agree with that perception of contemporary social reality?
No, I don't agree with it, not especially in a country like the United States. I don't agree with it.
How can you deny it?
No. You're not in the dark.
But you don't share equally. You don't share equally with the scientists.
I disagree with you.
And the technocrats.
Well, look, scientists, Einstein could only be Einstein. Scientists could only do their work. They have enough to do scientific work. You're expecting these scientists
to interpret
it, and not only interpret it, communicate it to the people. The guy who's doing all the basic work and and making sure that society works, the daily, day-to-day dirty work that makes society work. I mean, it's not dirty, it's work. Okay? That's what I'm doing. But look at these artists that we have. That's the job of an artist. Look what these guys, all these clowns that are on stage saying, "Baby, I love you. I want you to be my girl," spending millions and millions of dollars, okay, instead of interpreting science and bringing, you can take rock music, which I've done. I have 5 albums of rock music, interpreting the work of modern science and bringing it to the people. But I don't know. Try to get a record company to handle that. I don't know. They don't seem to want to market it. What they want to market is what it seems like 12 and 13-year-olds want to buy, and 14-year-olds want to buy, and so you have basically your artists forgetting about the scientific world and just playing to the world of the human senses. Now,
how many artists do you think can relate to the scientific world that have the equipment?
How many what?
How many contemporary artists have the equipment, the intellectual, mental equipment, to relate on a serious level to the scientific world?
You see, you have on the rock level. I mean, most of these guys are not really that well educated. They come at the age of 15 and they start playing guitar, and they become famous at the age of 17 or 18, and so they don't. And then, of course, they have to take drugs to play their music.
I was surprised within the last year I went to Istanbul, and there was a Greek band that was going over, a heavy metal band, if you can imagine a Greek heavy metal band. And I was surprised, if not shocked, at the level of their thinking. They were kids in their early 20s, and they had quite sophisticated social criticisms, ideas, similar to what you were saying about being artists being sellouts and so forth. I was shocked. Do you think there might be some kind of reserve of intellectual capacity that's not being tapped somehow among the artists who play a role?
When you're talking about popular art,
and what do you think the role of the artist should be?
If the public is not going to buy these things or in the marketplace, you're going to just if the public is not going to support their artists. And I don't want to talk about Greece. I'll talk about the United States. This is a country that does not support its artists. Never has. Okay? This is a country
How is a country supposed to support its artists? Give them money?
Yes, by buying their records, buying their books, or buying their poetry. This is not
Somebody's buying billions of dollars worth of CDs and records around the world.
Would you like to listen to Elvis Presley all your life? I mean, what does he stand for? I mean, what does he stand for? Elvis Presley. I mean, any one of these people. Michael Jackson. What do they stand for? I'm bad. I'm bad. I'm bad. Yeah.
Hey, you ain't never caught a rabbit, buddy. That's why you're saying all that.
Don't step on my blue suede shoes.
You said you was high class.
But the point is here. You see, there are a lot of magazines out here. This is the cutting edge of. There are magazines that really report. Scientific magazines, science magazine. There's a lot. Nature magazine. There's a lot of magazines out here that report what the scientists are finding. So,
but read by a minuscule number of people.
Well,
even the popular ones like Nature and Science that you're talking about.
Again, this is a society that is not really caring about science.
But you've talked about
physics.
You've talked about powers that be wanting to control the masses in society. It's against their interest to, from what you've described, to let out the truth, isn't it?
As far as I'm concerned, it is.
Is there a conspiracy?
Yes, it's against the interests of the powers that own this country to have a public that is too smart.
Who owns this country? The corporations?
3%, 4% of the people.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw a documentary yesterday. There were 20 people, 20 men, who owned all the land of Mexico.
Do you know any of them by chance?
3% own 90% of the wealth in this country. Now, would you like the other 97% of the public to dwell on that for a while? I mean, if the other 97% that are working for $20,000 and $30,000 a year start thinking about those 3% have 97% of the wealth, and we 97% have 3% of the wealth, do you want us to think about that for a while?
Mm-hmm.
No. Let's keep them, let's give them welfare, let's give them drugs, let's give them alcohol, let's give them good TV, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And let them keep working for the and being a slave in our factories, okay? Why do you think all these things are? And let's keep promoting sex, because we need new babies in our factories. We want them to make babies. The younger, the better, because if they start young, they can make more babies for our factories, okay? All right? We don't want them to think.
Now overpopulation is a problem.
Do you think that? Do you think that this government wants this? No. All we want our children to get good educations, to think, but not that 97%. And we don't even want our children to get too smart either.
That's why I was a little bit surprised that, except for a few fleeting references at the end of your book, you don't really emphasize the education system, schools very much in your thinking. One would have thought that you would really spend a lot of time.
This is not my. I'm not writing a 55 million page book. My basic.
But still, it would be one of the core things, one would imagine. If you think that everybody's wrong in their thinking, you would probably want to devise a system that could effectively teach them.
My main thing is to make this little point that I'm making, and I'm not going to expand this book into a history book, a book on sociology, a book on education.
Now that we're on it anyway, why don't you tell me what you think the role of education in schools should be in purveying this understanding that you have described in your book, that you've...
Since education is controlled by the government,
Mm-hmm.
and it is.
Well, there's private education, but anyway, yeah.
Well, that's again controlled by a bureaucracy.
Right.
All private education,
by a smaller
all
group of
public
people,
education, but they're all together. They work hand in hand. They have lunch together.
Every
and
other
they
Tuesday,
wink at
yeah.
each other. They don't ever say anything, but they wink. So these kids are, they have to break out of that bureaucracy, what the bureaucracy is selling them.